Apple announced 3 big phones this year. Though it had 2 completely new phones, it was the third phone that really interested everyone. That phone is finally in India, and that is the iPhone XR. In 2017, Apple decided it needed a third phone, and it introduced the iPhone X, which was a higher spec'd, higher priced phone. This year, it's got a third phone again, but it's a cheaper, lower spec'd phone, and the iPhone XR is cutting some corners to make it affordable. Let's see if it is still a good phone. On the iPhone XR, there are 2 interesting changes compared to the iPhone XS series, and one is the display. This phone has an LCD display instead of the OLED display on the other 2 phones. It also is not full HD. But is that going to impact you? I don't think so. This has a slightly thicker bezel compared to the iPhone X or the iPhone XS series. But when you're using it to consume content, you don't really see the difference. And from that angle, I don't think that's going to make a big impact on your purchase decision. The other interesting change on the iPhone XR is obviously the single camera. The other phones like the XS and even the X have dual camera setups. Apple has given you a wide angle lens on the XR, which means you can do most of the things that the iPhone XS would do, but you can't do all the portrait modes. But overall, the performance of this camera is pretty good. Except for the single camera at the back, the iPhone XR looks just like the iPhone X or the iPhone XS. It's got glass at the back, but this glass is not as good as the glass on the iPhone XS, but it's better than the glass on the iPhone X. The glass at the back lets you use wireless charging on the phone, but I would suggest that you use a good cover to protect it at all times. One USP of the iPhone XR is the fact that it's going to be available in a lot of colors, and there are quite a few colors available. It's almost like the Apple iPhone 5C. I really like the red, for instance, but otherwise I would rather stick to the black than the yellow or the blue. So the question a lot of people are going to ask is this phone underpowered? Absolutely not. It gives you the same processing power as the iPhone XS and the XS Max. That is because this one is also powered by the A12 Bionic processor, which means it's very good while processing your camera, and it does AR really well. So you don't have to be worried about processing power. So Apple has actually done a good thing by giving you the same experience when it comes to usage and cut corners with the display and the camera. The iPhone XR, because it's a slightly bigger 6.1-inch phone, has a larger battery than the iPhone XS. But I could not see a lot of difference in usage. I would say it's maybe an hour more. With the lower spec screen and the single camera, Apple has been able to cut the price of the iPhone XR by about 20,000 rupees in comparison to the XS series. So who should buy an iPhone XR? I would say anybody who has an iPhone 7 or an earlier version can think of this as an upgrade, provided you don't need a dual camera. The display is not such a big factor because it gives you a very good experience despite being LCD. For Android users, I would suggest that they look at the other options like the Note 9. But there is also the 10 and the 8 Plus, which you should consider before looking at this phone, because those phones are not really cutting corners.